Hi, good evening. Hi, good evening. Welcome to a special meeting of the East Windsor Regional School District Board of Education. Written advance notice of this meeting was provided at least 48 hours ago. Such notice provided the time, date, and location of this meeting and included the agenda to the extent it was known at the time. Notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with law. Minutes of this meeting are being kept by the board secretary and will be made available promptly to any member of the public requesting them from the board secretary at 25A Leshen Lane, Hightstown, New Jersey. Minutes will be provided at cost and in accordance with board policy. Are there any board members present who believe this meeting to be in violation of the Open Public Meeting Act? There being none, we may proceed. In compliance with the fire code of the state of New Jersey, I call your attention to the emergency exits for this room, which are located in the back and the two sides. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank everyone, parents and staff and everyone who came to do the strategic planning session, the first session for 2023-24. And I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Mark Daniels.
Everyone. It's great to see so many people out here tonight. Rainy Tuesday. I was not sure how many people were going to actually attend, so this is great. So just to set a little purpose in terms of why we're here together, obviously this is the first of 3 planning sessions. I'll begin actually just by, if you glance over when you signed in, you saw Marianne Friedman from New Jersey School Boards. She'll be facilitating much of this evening's work and the subsequent 2 meetings as well. So just a small sense of why we're here. Each year we engage in the goal-setting process, and typically that's gathered from multiple areas of feedback along the way, whether it's anecdotal data, student performance data, but oftentimes we are kind of moving rapidly in terms of engaging in the work we're looking to do. So today serves as an opportunity to kind of map out where we currently are as a school district, and then gathering stakeholder feedback from the community, looking to put together a sense of where we're looking to go for the next 5 years. So it's intentional in terms of you being here this evening is amazing, because we definitely want to get a sense of what people are experiencing, whether you are here as a student, awesome to see students here tonight, whether you're here as a parent, whether you're here as a staff member, whether you're here as a board member, right? We want to really value your input because you are a part of the community, and our school district is a clear reflection of that. And we want to make sure that there are some voices that contribute to the direction in terms of where we're going. So this portion of the evening is a brief superintendent introduction. Marianne's looking at me because she said to me that superintendents talk a lot. So I'm going to curtail it. I don't talk a lot though, but I'm going to just keep it short. So I'm going to just give you a brief overview right now. This obviously, this in front of you as well, this does not capture everything that's happening within the district. These are at a high level, but I wanted to give you a sense of kind of looking at it from a district overview in terms of what I would consider to be strengths, but we can also talk about challenges. Some of those go together, right? So I don't want to lead the witness tonight. I don't want you to, because you may have come here tonight to say, you know what, this is why I'm here tonight. And you may not see it, what I'm discussing, that's fine. Okay, but this is just to give you a feel for some of what I believe are the ingredients to where we are as a school district. So this is really just serving as an introduction. I am then going to transition over to Marianne, who will kind of engage us in some of the brainstorming that we will participate in this evening. So look, who are we? Obviously, we're about 5,000 students in the East Windsor Regional School District, comprised of 6 schools. I think we all know that. Our Student enrollment has been pretty consistent since I've been here. We had a slight, what we thought would be a slight decline, maybe during that COVID phase, but ultimately we're just above 5,000 students. We do not anticipate a significant increase in the next few years, which is a good thing. We were looking at some developments in the area that at one point we thought would be breaking ground, but it doesn't seem like from a family unit standpoint, there's a significant number of students that will be connected to that. So in terms of demographics, I think it's important. I look at our demographics as obviously being something that is a strength of our school district, something that I think is unique to New Jersey in terms of the level of diversity that we have. And I think it's important for us. There's a couple of things I want you to take a look at. Obviously, we've got almost 50% Hispanic students representing our school district. And I would imagine if you go back 15, 20 years, that number's changed somewhat. I'd say that one area in particular that we are looking at would be the economically, that's the ED number, approaching 40%. One could argue that that number might be slightly higher than that, to be quite honest with you. During COVID, that was an opportunity where folks did not have to complete any paperwork regarding free or reduced lunch eligibility. So we're not sure. I think we're kind of moving back towards a number that we think is more reflective of the community. The number below that, the 22% for ELL, ML, which is English language learner, multilingual learner, that percentage of the school district has grown. I'd say from the past 3 to 4 years, it's jumped a third. So it's a growing number that reflects our district. So on the one hand, I definitely view that as being something that's a gift, but along with that comes some challenges in terms of us making sure we're looking to meet the needs of students who are coming to us as first-generation immigrants. Students with disabilities, that last number, 14%, pretty steady. I mean, slight increase for us, but not significant. Still somewhat under the state average, but obviously something that we want to make sure that we're watching over those students that we believe need that individualized support as well. So that just gives you kind of an overview of who we are as a school district. And obviously behind those numbers are students, right? These are individual students who all deserve a quality, caring education. So in terms of strengths and challenges, this is kind of more so what I would just want to highlight in terms of strengths. And the list could be endless, but I wanted to just focus on a few things. I just talked about diversity. Connected to that, we did engage in an equity audit at the district level last year. We had some recommendations. I shared those with the board earlier this school year. And there's a few domains that equity audit was focused on. And ultimately, what drove that as a district goal was to ensure that our mission that's on paper, we were curious to ensure that all students had opportunities to participate and achieve and have access to the quality education our district reflects. So there are some recommendations that came from that district equity audit. There were 5 domains that it was kind of focused on. The natural next step for us was to establish a district equity team to kind of determine how we want to strategically roll out some aspects of what the audit recommended. Not that we have to do everything that was recommended, but in terms of the areas that it addressed, I think it created some curiosity for us. So we're engaging in that work as we speak. I have facility upgrades there. Our district is one that we've been fortunate to be able to continue to invest in our buildings. I think it's important to have welcoming facilities for our staff and students and families. We have not engaged in approaching the community regarding a bond referendum, so we've utilized our district funds, and I'd like to commend our business office for ensuring that our capital reserve is such that we have apportioned monies for ongoing upgrades. When we look at our 6 schools, we have some aging buildings, especially on the Hightstown side, and we've needed to both invest in infrastructure, especially HVAC, but also aesthetically, and I'd say GNR and WCB in particular, but also the high school. We'll be engaging in tackling the high school next year from an HVAC standpoint through some grant funding actually via the state. So we're excited about that. But each year since I've been here, we've continued to engage in upgrades, whether it's parking lot reconfiguration, tennis courts, like I said, a lot of classroom renovation work that we're pleased about. I have foundations on here just to highlight that, especially as we're transitioning out of the pandemic, where we're leaning on kind of resetting and looking at foundational skills for students, especially under the literacy umbrella. Look, this district implemented foundations prior to my arrival. I commend the folks that participated in that. I think for some districts, foundations is kind of used for certain students who they think may benefit from it. This district has made the decision, and we've committed to maintaining that as a K-2 approach for all students to be exposed to some foundational literacy skills, that we believe serve as kind of those building blocks and access to learning. So I'm pleased that we have that. I transitioned to multisensory reading support, which is more so, it's not designed only for students who are under the special education umbrella. However, we do find ourselves utilizing that for students who are having difficulty reading in a traditional sense. So Wilson is kind of our platform. Wilson Reading is our platform for that, which is related to foundations as well. And we have 2 staff developers in the district and also 13 Wilson certificated teachers that provide that level of support for students, which I think is really vital. I have personnel on here, just because I think we have outstanding personnel in our school district. We've gone through, as all school districts have gone through, some challenges under the staffing umbrella in public education, especially as folks were looking at what they wanted to value, whether it was working closer to home, different work conditions, whatever the case may be, or just working at home, right? That's probably the first thing. And we were not immune to that. I feel like things are calming down, but I definitely, we had our Governor Educator of the Year recognition last night and just talked about really appreciating the work that folks bring to the table. We have really amazing staff, both within the classroom and folks who support the classroom. And that's something that I'm very proud of in our school district. I think that going into this year, our administrative team, I think, did an amazing job in terms of the recruitment, especially for those classroom positions, in terms of believing that we have what we think are the most qualified individuals who are a good fit for our school district. So transitioning to self-insurance, which is more of a financial discussion. But a couple of years ago, I had a conversation with Paul Todd, our business administrator. We deal with a group, kind of a broker intermediary that supports us through our health benefit needs. And there was some conversation with districts who were engaging in the possibility of becoming self-insured for health benefits. And just to kind of a brief description of what that means, it alleviates some middleman kind of costs that come along with that. Obviously, there's a host of factors that contribute to being a good candidate to pursue self-insurance, and oftentimes it's driven by claims. So we pursued that about 2 years ago, and there's been some significant cost savings that have come from that. Obviously, the cost savings we almost hold on to because we're looking to potentially offset claims as we move forward. But that has been a good decision fiscally for the school district that has limited the elevation of health benefit costs for staff members. I have over here SIOP training. I just kind of outline what that reflects. That's one of our goal areas for this year. We talk about multilingual learners, and we're talking about providing tools for teachers to meet the needs of those students. Obviously those things don't magically happen, and we have to have a sense of strategic, intentional support for teachers to address the needs of students who are coming to us and English is not their first language. It does not mean that these students have a cognitive or learning issue. It just means that they have to adapt and adjust. And we have to make sure that we understand how we can bridge those gaps for those students so they can obviously have access to the curriculum and quality education here. So this year we were very deliberate. We engaged in a 3-day training for bilingual ESL and some other folks at the elementary, middle, and high school. feedback thus far has been very positive regarding that. Obviously, we're not going to do a drive-by. We want to make sure that we continue to sustain and support that, but that was definitely something that was needed, and I'm pleased we invested in that this year. I have on here strong educational program. Look, we're a strong school district. We have a strong, as I talked about, strong educational personnel, strong curriculum, strong programs. Our graduation rate is 95% and above. 90% of our students are going to 2 4-year programs. So we have a competitive program, and I'll say that connected to strong educational program, under that I'll also talk about what I consider to be kind of the 3 A's, and we have a really strong athletic and extracurricular program, as well as our performing arts program that I'm a huge proponent of. I think it just enables students to kind of tap into a host of things as it relates to strengthening academics, but also building talent and discipline and confidence. So during COVID, we were concerned about our performing arts program. We were worried about participation. We've invested as a school district through the board support at the elementary level, where we've developed a strings program, which is continuing to grow, as well as strengthening our instrumental program under the brand umbrella at the elementary level. So our numbers are flourishing, and I feel very good about where that program is. Also connected to the strong educational program, I'll talk about our student services department, whether it's supporting our special education students, and also our kind of counseling support that we have within the district to try to meet the social emotional needs of students. Under the technology umbrella, we are in a place where we are providing students with one-to-one technology. Obviously, we don't want to lean too heavily on technology in terms of the learning process, but we do believe that technology enables us to kind of support and enhance the educational process. COVID, to be honest with you, kind of forced us to be a little bit more intentional regarding how we were designing that. We have a 3-year cycle for refreshing our technology. Most students in the district will have a device for 3 years, except the high school. They'll get a device as a 9th grader, and they'll return it as a senior when they're leaving. But we believe that in that area, we're very solid and fiscally planned out how we're going to take care of that. When I talk about personnel, I just want, this year we were fortunate to have national recognition as it relates to having one of our teachers at the elementary level, Ms. Trost, Taylor Trost, being recognized with the Milken Educator Award, and she received a $25,000 prize for that of sorts, the Oscars of teaching, they call it. And what that made that award a little unique is that we didn't go out applying for that. Like, we didn't seek that. That was something that kind of came to us through her great work. So I think that's a positive reflection on our school district and the educators who are here. I have transportation department on here really as a bit of a plug. Years ago, I'd say approaching 15 or so years, maybe going back further, there was a decision here to have a transportation department with its own fleet of buses. Obviously, that's grown over time. But when I look at and talk to my colleagues across the county and surrounding the county, having your own fleet of buses in a school district is a luxury, something that I don't take for granted. Look, there's going to be times where the bus didn't come to the right stop and it wasn't quite on time. But I think our transportation department is very impressive in terms of our level of efficiency, safety. In addition to that, and I say it for 2 things. One, there's an element of convenience that comes along with that and reliability that comes along with that, because you're not thinking, which bus company's coming to pick up my child today. We know it's an East Windsor Regional School District bus. There's an element of accountability and care that comes along with that. In addition to that, we're servicing other school districts. So we have a pretty impressive mechanic team who also provide service to school buses from other school districts. So I'm getting lobbied right now from other school districts in the county to see if we can support their extracurricular transportation. They want to kind of partner with us from a busing standpoint. So I definitely wanted to make sure that I provided a highlight for something that I think is a worthwhile investment, because in addition to that, school districts right now, a significant portion, that's probably about 5 or 6% of the district's budget for us. There are districts that are unfortunately forced into having to dedicate funds for busing because they are having to rely on using other bus companies to transport their children to school, but also beyond the school day. So those are just some highlights of what I deem to be strengths. I could go on and on, but I just wanted to give you a feel for where I see where we are currently. In terms of some challenges, and the list could be way longer as well, but as I think about what we've been dealing with post-pandemic, but also just in terms of where I think we need to go, these are just some things that come to mind. So obviously addressing academic needs, that's always going to be first and foremost for us, right? As an educational institution, organization, we have an obligation to take children through that pre-K-12 continuum to ensure that they are ready for postgraduate experiences, whatever they may be, right? But, you know, and that was an issue prior to COVID, right? Post-COVID, yes, we are dealing with, for some of our students, that gap of consistent in-person learning didn't work well for some of our students, right? It just didn't. For some of our students, it actually was fine. I'll be quite honest with you. But for students that need that experience and that interface with a teacher and that level of consistency, it did not bode well. In addition to that, there were some students who, just from a developmental standpoint, missed some of those early transitional components in terms of coming into a school environment. And that could be from a social-emotional standpoint, interacting with peers, in addition to those readiness skills, whether it relates to literacy or math computation. We know that there are some gaps and some acceleration that still needs to occur, in addition to making sure that those students that we want to push forward, we still have those challenging, enriching experiences for them to be a part of. So addressing academic need for us, and I'll be quite honest with you, we're having those conversations in terms of allocating resources, looking to see how we can strengthen classroom environments, recognizing that teachers have a lot to do, and we're trying to be conscientious to not give them more. So how can we supplement some of that? But those are real issues that we grapple with day in and day out. Communication and engagement, I think that we've made a concerted effort to communicate. I think part of the recognition is that it's twofold. In a diverse community, we want to make sure that our communication is reaching as many folks as possible. It's relevant, and it's something that we think is not white noise. We don't want to just overly communicate without it being meaningful, but I think the part I want to focus on is engagement. Tonight serves as engagement, where it's not just one-way communication, but it's really hearing, listening to, talking with, and trying to get a pulse on where people are, what they need, prior to it being a problem. There's going to still be problems, but I think it's important to just have that level of engagement, because I think engagement builds understanding and it builds trust, and I think trust is really important as we move forward. So we'll continue to have a pulse. Elise is here tonight. Elise is not a knock on you. Your communication is solid. But I just think it's just, you know, it's one of those things where I'm kind of focused on the engagement piece to see how we can really kind of tap into that. Behavioral challenges. So when I talked about the readiness to school, one thing we have noticed in the past 2 years, especially in the K2 world, the K2 people in here are nodding their heads right now. The K2 world, we're dealing with students that are coming to us and they just haven't had those opportunities to socialize with peers, take directions. Some of them have experienced trauma. And I don't want to blame everything on COVID, but it's just a reality. So we're seeing students that are presenting themselves with some behaviors that we typically would not see in that K2 world. And I'm not saying that it's voluminous, but I'm saying that when we have students that present themselves in that way, it's noticeable. And it's something that we've had to kind of adapt to determine how we meet their needs, but also being conscientious that it's not taken away from the learning and safety of the other students who are in their classroom. So I think it's one of those things where, once again, looking at supports, because we can't just put every student out of district. We're looking at what do we need to do to say there's some additional supports we can provide within the district, as well as providing some tools for teachers as well as students. We've got some new standards, both ELA and math, that the Department of Education has indicated need to be rolled out for the upcoming school year. I just put that down as just a reality. When I say challenge, anytime we're rolling out new standards, that means that it's going to be, you know, engaging in curriculum revisions, some professional learning that may come along with that. It just takes up some oxygen, and I just see that as something that's looming quite soon. Multilingual learners, I talked about that before. It's just to making sure that we are conscientious of addressing all learners that come within our doors and making sure that we have the tools to provide that level of support, and also the teachers. I mean, I'll talk about that in a moment. Preschool child study team referrals, this has also increased significantly in the past 3 years. One could blame it on the pandemic, but it clearly appears to be a spike in students that are coming to us before we even know them, right? And they're coming to us with a recommendation for them to be evaluated by the child study team. So, and these are 3 and 4 year olds, which is an adjustment for us in terms of potentially having to develop a program to support that. That may slow down. Once again, we noticed that clearly correlated with the pandemic, but it's something that we're dealing with as we speak. Professional learning, I just think we also need to make sure that as a school district, when we talk about providing tools and ensuring that teachers have what they need, we just need to make sure that we are providing relevant, embedded professional learning experiences for our teachers, because it appears that those demands or those needs of children aren't going away right now. I want to make sure that we are, one, identifying what the needs are via a host of different avenues. I'm a huge believer in building base PD. I think that, the PD that's generated from where you live and work, I think there's most often the talent is there, but we have to make sure we cultivate that, support that, enable that to flourish. And there's also times where we need to leave the district or have someone from outside the district come in to provide those aha moments and make sure that we are having an element of innovation in terms of meeting the needs of our students. One of the needs we have, and we explored it last year, was taking advantage of, it's twofold. One, trying to see if we can leverage some early opportunities for students to be in school. And the state is encouraging that, the Department of Education, the governor in particular, is encouraging that in terms of having universal pre-K. So one of the challenges, though, that folks don't really talk about is the host of needs that come along with establishing universal pre-K, one being space. And we were exploring that last year. We did assess where we were. We started the school year thinking that we probably could allocate about 8 classrooms across the district, try to service 80 or so, 80 to 100 students. As we were kind of going through the process, we clearly or quickly identified that those 8 rooms went to about 6, then went down to about 5, went down to about 3, then went down to about 2. And then we were asking ourselves at that point, is it really worth all of this at this moment? Let's pause where we are, let's reassess and come back to it. So space is an issue for us. An option is to partner with local providers and partner with them. I've been reluctant to do that, to be quite frank with you, just based on the quality control. I'd rather own it if we could. So that's something that we need to take a look at moving forward. And I have staffing on here. Look, as much as I think that the staffing shortages, I'll use that word, I do not feel them as much as we had a couple of years ago. As I said earlier, our team's done an amazing job with recruitment. There are still, however, some positions that are difficult. These positions were difficult to fill prior to the pandemic. Those positions are bilingual ESL and our special education positions, both self-contained, but also secondary subject-related special education positions are very difficult to find quality talent, just to find talent, period. So I talk about 2 areas, though, where children need teachers. They need really good teachers to support them. And those are areas that are tricky for us. I will say that staff retention clearly is still an area that we need to not overlook, because, as I said before, when there's an educator, somewhat of an educator shortage, folks do have options, right? And I think I said this last night, like, you don't have to be here. People have choices. And I want to make sure that I think we have an attractive starting salary to work in the district, but I also want to make sure that we are providing those work conditions for individuals where they value their time and effort that they're committing to our school district. So staffing will always be, I don't feel that level of angst I felt a couple of years ago in terms of feeling like core academic classes. However, I don't want to take that for granted. So staffing will continue to be something that we watch over as we move forward. So I'm going to stop there. There's a little longer than I anticipated, Marianne. I apologize for that. So that just serves as just a little bit of an introduction. I'm going to turn it over to you. I will say this, there's food and drinks here. Water, I should say water. So help yourselves, throughout the evening. But I'm going to turn things over to Marianne. I'm just going to transition over the technology.
Good evening, everyone. Hi. We just had a little technical, not technical actually, seating situation. So anyway, my name is Marianne Friedman. I am a field service representative with New Jersey School Boards Association, and I am very pleased to be here. So we're going to talk a little. Oh, you're click. Oh, I wondered how that was moving. I thought, wow, I moved my hand over the laptop and it automatically did that. So thank you all for coming tonight. This is a really exciting process. And Mr. Daniels has spoken to you about the strengths and the challenges and given you a really kind of a breakdown of where the district stands right now. I'm actually doing very little talking tonight. You all are going to do the activity for the evening. So if we could go to the next slide. So strategic planning really does create a vision and a mission that stakeholder groups can get behind because you are involved in developing those. Okay, so your contributions are going to be the foundation of this plan. And then when we're done, after the 3 meetings, Mr. Daniels and his administrative team will take all of the work that's been done by you all, because these are not my strategic plans for you or my strengths and challenges for you or my vision or my goals for you. These are yours for your district. He's going to take all of that information and he's going to put it together in action plans, and those will be the goals that really are the groundwork and the kind of the pathway for the district over the next 3 to 5 years. So what does strategic planning do? What are some of the advantages? It allows the board to be more proactive because boards have become very reactive over the past 10, 15 years because things come out of the State Department of Education, and New Jersey School Boards is not the State Department of Education. We're a separate entity that works with training school boards and providing services. But because the state comes out with mandates very frequently, boards have become more reactive. It also allows for you to participate in a way that most community members don't get to participate. If you're a parent in the district, you probably come in for your back to school night and your parent-teacher conference nights. And that's kind of, you'll maybe go to events and things at the school. But this allows you to sit down and work with teachers and administrators, other community members, and everybody has a level voice. Nobody's voice is more important or less important than anybody else's. So your students that are here, your staff that is here, your parents, your community members, everybody's voice has the same level of importance, okay? And then it also provides for that continuing ongoing cycle of goals and action plans and items that you're going to see put into place and implemented that will get you to the achievement of those strategic planning goals. So we have a waterfall effect that we use for strategic planning, and so everything after the strategic planning goals are set, which will be after that 3rd meeting and after those action plans are developed, everything will inform, those will inform everything else that's done in the district. So they'll inform your district goals and your board goals. Those are annually set also. They'll also inform your administrators' goals, building goals, department goals, things like that. Student growth objectives, staff professional development plans, and all of that ultimately flows into the pool of student achievement, and your student achievement will improve over the next 3 to 5 years. You have many strengths that you heard about tonight, and you have some challenges that you've heard about tonight, Now you're going to get to identify strengths and challenges that you feel exist in the district. So the components of, we have a strategic planning pyramid, so you heard the information for the State of the Schools report, and tonight we're going to work on strengths and challenges, and I'll give you that activity in just a couple of minutes. The next meeting is going to be vision and initiatives, and we'll identify at the end of that meeting goal areas, just very broad goal areas. Then the next meeting will come together, you'll have those goal areas already, you'll identify strategies that you would like to see within those goal areas, identify and develop objectives for those goal areas, and then develop an overarching goal statement, okay? And after that, superintendent and the administrative team take all of the information, and after tonight's meeting, I'll be typing up all of the outcomes. All of these yellow big Post-it notes are going to be filled with all of your stuff tonight, all of your strengths and challenges. Type everything up. I'll send that to Mr. Daniels and the board president tomorrow, and then they'll put it up on the district website. So you'll be able to reflect on the work that you've done tonight, and anybody who wasn't able to come to this meeting will be able to, but wants to come to meeting 2, will be able to look at all of that and see how we got to where we got to by the end of this evening, okay? You can do the next one. So your mission statement is through a safe, inclusive learning experience that's grounded in best practices, students in the East Windsor Regional School District will develop and strengthen academic, social, and emotional skills needed in order to be successful, productive citizens. Serving every child every day, we strive to increase achievement by challenging and supporting each student to reach his or her highest potential, address the needs of the whole child by ensuring all students feel healthy, safe, engaged, supported, and challenged with opportunities for social emotional learning and growth. Prepare all students with the skills and awareness necessary to actively contribute as productive local and global citizens, and provide professional staff with the knowledge, skills, and resources necessary for highly effective delivery of instruction and services. And Mr. Daniels talked about some of those things in terms of strengths that you already have. So the strategic planning process works on consensus. That is not a majority rule, okay? There are about 6 or 7 of you at each table, and what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to do an activity. I'm going to ask you to each participate in brainstorming. You have a sheet that has the agenda on the front, and your strengths and challenges brainstorming sheet is on the back. And I'm going to ask you to brainstorm and then start talking and confirm or paraphrase or ask for validation of some of the things that you're hearing perhaps from other people at the table. Hopefully then you'll be able to come to consensus. Consensus is not your first choice necessarily, but it's something you can live with and support. Okay, so we're reaching for consensus tonight. You've all been given a different number when you came in. Some of you were not particularly happy about that because you wanted to be with the person that you came in with. But in order to get a true flavor of your community, we do a very random, I'm responsible for it, so blame me, do a very random handout of numbers so that you can be with people that you may not typically sit with. Because as human beings, we tend to gravitate towards people who feel the same way, have the same values and the same opinions. But that doesn't give you the true flavor of East Windsor's community, okay? So that's why it's good to break up and sit around with other people. So the activity for tonight is going to be consider the strengths and the challenges of the district that Mr. Daniels spoke about. I'd like you to take about 2 minutes, 3 minutes to introduce yourselves to each other at your table. Okay, select a recorder. That's somebody who's going to use the fat marker at each table. There are pens at each table and markers at each table. And you have a numbered Post-it note somewhere in the room. Number 1 is over here. 2, 3 are in the back. 4 and 5 are up here. 6 and 7 in the back. 8, 9, and 10 are over there. And once you come to consensus on that top 10 list, so you want to think David Letterman. Everybody remember David Letterman? Please say yes. Don't break my heart. Okay. Everybody remembers or is just patronizing me and saying you remember David Letterman. David Letterman used to do a top 10, okay, on his show, The David Letterman Show. So we're going to ask you to come up with a top 10 strengths and a top 10 challenges. You can split your Post-it note from left to right, strengths, challenges. You can do it top to bottom. You can do a slash across the, diagonally across, whatever you would like to do. but come up with a top 10. If you can't come up with 10, that's okay. Whatever you can come to consensus on, put up on these boards. And then, because there are so many tonight, we'll do what's called a gallery walk instead of each table reporting out, so you don't need to have a spokesperson, okay, for each table. So we alleviate that stress of picking a spokesperson. So we'll put these all around the room, and you'll be able to walk around. When you walk around, so I'm going to give you until about 20 after 7, that's about 35 minutes, to brainstorm. I'll then come around and let you know when you have about 5 minutes left to be able to come to consensus and start writing up on the Post-it notes, okay? And when you walk around the room then, after I give you the okay to do that, I want you to look and see what you think are common themes from one group to the next group to the next group. And then as a large group, I'll ask you to come back together, and I'll ask you to call out common themes, and I'll write those down on other boards, okay? Is everybody clear with what you're doing tonight? Top 10 strengths, top 10 challenges, introduce yourselves to each other, select somebody who's going to be able to write or print legibly on these papers, because I have to be able to read them when I get home so that I can put it into the memo of the outcomes, okay? You're good to go. You have until about 7:20. So thank you for your attention.
Apparently they It's a very nice turn.
Okay, folks, I need you to start. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. It really does work. I learned that in the district last week. Okay, if you can start coming to consensus and then start writing up on your boards, you can take them back to the table and write on them. I'm not suggesting that you write, on them on the wall, so you can move them around. Okay, but I'm going to give you about until 7:30 to do that. Okay? Okay, folks, this is the NFL, and this is your 2-minute warning. 2 minutes. It's crack the whip.
Hey, Daddy. Go on this one.
Okay, folks, I'm giving you 2 more minutes. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. Okay, I need everybody to be done in 2 minutes. Okay, NFL, 2-minute warning. Okay, because then we're going to walk around. Thank you. I'm always able to find somebody who can do that because I can't. Okay, what I'd like you to do is take the next 5-10 minutes and walk around. They're on that wall, over there, over here, and over here. Think about what are common to each of them, okay? I want you to think about common themes. Then you'll go back to your tables, and then I'll ask you to call them out, okay? Thank you. Okay, folks, if everybody could go back to their tables. Okay. Oh, that's so much better. All of a sudden. Before it wasn't sounding like it was on. Okay. Okay, and you can use the microphones at your table also.
This is literally my life dream to do this. So they said that I can get to be the person that does this. This is my moment. Okay. What? Yeah. So I like to think, no. So staffing, we said, is a strength, is a common theme that we've seen.
Great. What else? Don't be shy. Yes. Extracurriculars. Like,
This is not my dream, but I'm still excited. I saw a common strength was our STEM program.
okay. What else? I heard extracurriculars from somebody.
Arts program, like written out loud, is a strength.
Our child study program.
Anything else? If it's already been said, that's fine. But if you have something else to offer on strengths, Hit me. Not literally. Want to go into challenges? And then if you have strengths, we can go back to that. What about challenges? What'd you say? Can you do it in the microphone?
Navigating technology landscape.
What else?
Supporting our ESL community in an immersive and inclusive way throughout their time here.
In an inclusive way, did I hear?
Immersive and inclusive.
Diversive?
Immersive and inclusive.
That's what I meant.
Yeah,
Immersive.
with the general education population.
Okay, what else?
Space and class size.
We said teacher support.
Professional development for teachers and staff.
Anything else? Oh, we got one?
Lack of youth programs.
Lack of,
Youth programs.
okay. Anything else?
I'll say diversity in activities, so like an activity like this, extracurricular activities, things like that. Students and
Parent engagement.
Where did that come from?
Over here.
Was like the voice of God. No, I heard it.
Thank you.
Say it.
I said parent engagement.
Okay, great. You're hired. Okay, anything else?
We need a more effective avenue for parents to be able to find the right person to communicate with when they have a question or an issue.
Okay, yes. I'd like to really thank, we have two staff members here who have really translated for folks tonight, so I'd really like to thank them for doing that. So I'd like to give them a round of applause. I'd like to give anybody that's non-English speaking a round of applause. And you have about 9 or 10 students here. That is fabulous, okay? Okay, so our next meeting is going to be on March 14th. Oh, it's up there. On March 14th, 6 to 7:30, so it'll be shorter this time, okay? We're going to ask you at that meeting to consider that you've been away from East Windsor School District for about 3 or 5 years. You come back, you stop at a Wawa to get gas, and you go in to get coffee, and miraculously, Time Magazine is still in print. And there's going to be Time Magazine in there, and I have a fabulous fake cover that looks really real. I did it myself. And it's going to have your schools on the cover. And the title of the article is going to be Schools That Succeed. In addition to all of the great things that you talked about tonight and you learned about tonight as strengths, what would you expect to see happening now in that 3 to 5 year period that would put you on the cover of Time Magazine? So that's going to be a vision and initiatives activity, okay? So that's what's going to happen next time. Each table will have a Time Magazine cover on it. We'll have one up on the large boards also, and we'll ask you to think about different initiatives that you would like to see happen. Everybody will have at their table the outcomes from tonight, so you'll be able to look back and look at your strengths and how you might be able to leverage those strengths to deal with those challenges, and maybe those challenges in 5 years have now become strengths for you. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking for next time. I hope that you'll all come. I hope that you'll bring a friend. We have more tables. We can always put out more tables. And if you're students, please bring somebody else with you. We would appreciate that as well. Sign-in starts at 5:45. I'm usually here by 5:30, so that's fine too. There's cookies and snacks and stuff. I hope you've taken advantage of that. Bottles of water. We start promptly at 6 and we'll be done promptly at 7:30. And I have 2 minutes to let the board president know she needs to have a motion to adjourn the meeting. No, you can do it from there. Okay. All those in favor from the board? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for coming. Have a good night. Safe home. And it's not raining.